Hey, good morning. How are you doing today? Hope you're doing okay out there. It's going to be a Monday for you probably when you see this because I'm going to upload this to Schoology. Welcome to Mr. Ives class. Today our SWABIT student will be able to goal is student will be able to solve radical equations. Successfully 3 times. I want you to be able to do it at least 3 times successfully. Okay? So, radical equations. What do you know about radical equations? Take a second to think about that. It's radical, dude. Okay, so radical is a square root symbol. We know how this works. What number times itself is 49? 7 times 7 is 49. Negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. Plus or minus 7. Usually we just kind of drop that and say square root of 49 is 7. But what if I had something like this? Let me go backwards in time. Let me go backwards to some simple pre-algebra here. Some number plus 4 equals 8. I know you know what the number is. 4, right? 4 plus 4 is 8. How'd you get that? You took off this, and that, whatever was left over, had to be the answer. So you did the opposite, okay? The 3 rules of algebra. Number 1, isolate the variable. Get all the letters by themselves. When you see something like this, it's solved. All the numbers are on one side, all the letters are on the other side. Number 2, do the opposite. The opposite function. Okay, what's the opposite of adding? Subtracting. What's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. Last but not least, whatever you do to one side, do the other. Because an equation is balanced, it's equal. So if you do something to one side, it's not balanced anymore, and you have to do the same thing to the other side, so it balances out. Okay? So the opposite of plus 4, minus 4, whatever I do to one side, do the other. Plus 4 minus 4, gone. What's left on this side? Just the x. What's left on this side? 8 minus 4 is 4. That's actually kind of what I'm going to be up to today, except I'm going to do it with a brand new thing that you've never seen before. Okay? Couple little style tips here. Try to keep your equal signs nice and lined up. Leave yourself a little space between the steps. It helps to see what happened right there. Tell yourself what you're getting rid of. Okay? Here we go. The square root of some number equals 5. Okay. The opposite of adding is subtracting. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. The opposite of square roots is squaring. I'm going to square both sides. It's kind of like if something's 2 times too small, you make it 2 times bigger, it's right back where you started. Kind of like that, okay? That and that cancel each other out. That is gone. Tell yourself that. Skip a line, equal sign. Bring down that equal sign right there. What's left on this side? Just the x. What's left on the other side? 5 times 5 is 25. That's all there is to that. Okay, square both sides. Let's try another one. Square root of some number I don't know equals 36. Square both sides. That cancels that. What's 36 squared? Oh, I bet you thought the answer was going to be 6, didn't you? Right? I don't even know what 36 squared is. I'm going to get a calculator. $12.96. All right, now, that's really all there is to that. It can get a little bit more complicated, but not much. Okay. Try something like this. What if I put a little bit more under the radical? Square root of some number plus 1 equals 4. Anytime you see a radical, the only way to get rid of that is squaring. Okay? Whatever I do to one side, do the other. That kills that. What's left? What's left right here? If I get rid of that? Just the x plus 1. And on this side, 4 squared is, don't say 8. You're right, 16. There we go. Okay. All right, now, this is back to where we were before in pre-algebra. Isolate the variable, do the opposite. Whatever you do to one side, do the other. The opposite of plus 1, minus 1. Whatever you do to one side, do the other. X equals 15. Okay, now here's where things get weird. Okay, I'm going to do something today called extraneous solutions. We may have one, we may not. Okay, so for your whole career in public school, we always give you problems that had an answer. For the very first time, you can actually do everything right. You can get an answer, and it will be broken. It will actually not work in the original equation. Let's check this one right here. Let's see, if I put that 15 right back into the original equation, let's see if that works. Square root of 15 plus 1 equals 4. Okay, 15 plus 1 is 16. The radical acts just like grouping symbols. True or false, the square root of 16 equals 4. True. That checks out. Okay? But it won't always. We're going to come across some solutions that we did them right, they worked out perfectly, and then we put them back in and they don't work. So from now on, during this entire unit, which will be about 2 or 3 days long, okay, we're going to have to check our answers and make sure that they're correct. Next step up. Try something like this. The square root of x plus 2 equals 4. Do you see anything different that I did this time than I didn't do before? No? I don't know. That doesn't look exactly the same to me. Okay. Well, I got a problem now. If I square this entire side, I get this weird quadratic. It's going to be that times that, and then it gets all crazy down here. So I can't do that. So what I have to do first is get this radical by itself. If it's all by itself on one side, I can square that whole side and I'm loving life. Okay? The opposite of plus 2, minus 2, whatever I do to one side, do the other. Square root of x equals 2. Now it's ready to go. What's the opposite of square root? Squaring. Whatever I do to one side, do the other. That kills that. All that's left is the x. 2 times 2 is 4. And if we try that back in our original equation, check and make sure it's not extraneous, broken, you get 4 plus 2, square root of 4 plus 2 equals 4. True or false? I don't know. Let's find out. Square root of 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 4 equals 4. True. That's a good solution. So far, so good? Okay, I think that's pretty much all I'm going to do with you today. There'll be a worksheet that you can download and fill out, and then you should be able to upload it back to me in Schoology, and I'll check that, and we're all done for today. I'll see you tomorrow.